Hello, what I'm going to show you now is just a really basic way of creating a layered image. Now this is just going to be using one photograph that we then layer and create a kind of almost ghostly effect. Now this is going to be useful for any students doing GCSE photography or even fine art, because obviously you can use this as a basis for them making a drawing. It also could be quite useful for any Year 7s who are interested in learning some basic Photoshop skills. And then this would link in quite nicely with your portrait identity and distortion portrait that you will be doing at the moment. So first thing we are going to do is we're going to open up a new photograph. So we're going to go and just use the one I used for a previous video, which is this Barack Obama one. Now, when I've got this photograph, it often comes up with the grid on it. What I want to do is I'm just going to get rid of these extras. So it's view extras, and that just gets rid of that grid. You might want to keep it there. I do not usually like having it on the screen. Now what I'm going to do now is I've gone to the crop tool here and I'm going to just pull the sides in like this, because I don't need all that extra white background there. So I've pressed return and that's gone, and I now have just this image here which is nicely cropped. So as much as it's a beautiful image, the way it is by artist Martin Scholler, it's lovely. What we are going to do is actually turn it into a black and white image here. So we've just clicked over on the black and white tool here. Now what this then does is creates an extra layer. We do not necessarily need this extra layer, but I'll talk to you about getting rid of that later. Now if you wanted to as well, you can alter things like the brightness and contrast of the image. So if I click over here where the little sun is, you can see that I can make the image much, much brighter, almost kind of washed out looking, and then I can change the difference between the dark and the light areas. So I think what we'll do is we'll go for something quite light, quite washed out for this effect that we're going for. Now, as I said, we've got these layers that have been created now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on layer at the top, and then I'm going to just flatten those images there so it all becomes one photograph. And you can see there that's all disappeared down the side. Now, the next thing that we can do is there's a few ways again of doing this. What we're going to actually do is we're going to get the marquee tool here. So we've got a rectangular marquee tool. Now you can use different ones for different effects, but we're just going to keep it simple for this one. Now if I just highlight over the top, now this is where I would use my keypad. And what I'm going to do is press down on Command and C. And then what that's done is it's actually copied my image. I'm using a Mac for this at the moment, which is what all of the computers that have Photoshop on are anyway. I'm then pressing Command V, and then you can probably just see there that layer has created a second layer, which is identical to the first layer. Now this is going to then be used to create a slightly kind of ghostly opaque effect, So what I can then do is I can actually see there that I've got the two images. Now one of the things I quite like to do is just to shuffle it along a tiny little bit there, and then if I go over to the opacity here, what you can see is that I'm starting to get multiple layers, okay? Now this is something you can do a few times. Obviously if you do it too many, it can start to look a bit messy. But what I'm doing is essentially making one of the images slightly see-through. Again, if I press then Command and V, you can see I've got another layer here. Now with these layers, if you did want to then get rid of one, you can obviously click on it, and then you can delete the layer if you wish. But at the moment, we're quite happy with that. So we're going to move this one over here. You can obviously move it up and down as well. We'll move this one over here, keep it sort of in line with the rest of them. And then again, we're going to make that one a bit opaque. And you can start to see there, we've got some really beautiful pieces going on. Now, one of the reasons I quite like this is that obviously you end up then with all these kind of extra eyes and eyebrows. So this is actually really useful for the next part of the Year 7 project, where we do start to look at how portraiture can be distorted. So very, very simple effect. Got our 3 layers there. Again, if we want to print and save that somewhere, we then go to layer and flatten, and then you can see that's become one image there. And again, what I would want to do is want to save that so I can then access it from anywhere. So if I wanted to look at it from home, I've got it saved there, and I'm going to do Barack Obama layers, and then I'm saving it as a JPEG because obviously I don't want to then not be able to open it on a computer that doesn't have Photoshop on. So I'm going to press save there. And then that I'm going to add to my folder, which has got my different edits in. So at the moment we've got the other one here. So we go to new, go to file, upload, and then we go to downloads, and then we called it Barack Obama layers. And you can save that into the folder.